with us, and his wife, Francesca, right? Okay, right. She's Nicaraguan. I guess that's the way you say that, Nicaraguan. Anyway, they have a wonderful Ventura, a store in Ventura, California, that I happened upon in my journeys. I've been there several times, actually. And I've been trying to talk Keith into coming to speak to us for several years, and finally made it happen. Keith is a trained scientist. He completed coursework for an MA in anthropology at California State University at Los Angeles. He did anthropological research project in Nicaragua in Central America. And he gave presentations to the American Anthropological Association. He also published articles in scholarly journals. He's worked in the corporate world for 20 years as marketing director for national hospital systems. He earned certificates in fundraising and public relations from USC and a certificate in marketing communications from San Jose State University. For the past 11 years, he has owned and operated the retail store in Ventura, California called Peace from Heaven. The store has been featured on 10 television programs, including ABC's Good Morning America, CNN's The Life and Time of Angel Encounters, the Fox News special Miracles in the Making. He's also been featured on numerous radio programs and in numerous newspaper and magazine articles. During this time, Keith has written and published 4 books, 3 of which have been translated into Japanese and sold in Japan, where they have been national bestsellers. Keith's most recent book, called Quest for Chang, The Secret of the Butterfly Lovers, will be published by Red Wheel Weiser, and it is due out in early 2007. Keith has lectured throughout the United States and Japan. This has included guest lecturing at classes at UNLV with Dr. Raymond Nevada, Las Vegas, sorry. Didn't get that one. Also with Dr. Raymond Moody. And this is the first time that he's been here in Chicago. I'm very glad to have him. Let's give a warm welcome, please, to our speaker.
Thanks everyone for coming out today to see me, and we really appreciate it. It's Francesca and I's first time to Chicago, and we're having a good time. We went to the Field Museum yesterday. It's a great museum, and we just love Chicago. When we told our friends we were coming to an IANDS meeting, they thought we were saying IANDS. They thought I was talking about cats or something. I explained it was the International Association for Near-Death Studies, and so they were a little bit better about it. Before I give my presentation, I didn't get a chance to talk today. It's not fair. Everybody talked with me. See, I had a near-death experience myself, but it was so long ago, people didn't know what they were back then. It was 1968. Do you know what they called a near-death experience in 1968? Psychotic episode. So, anyway, I was 19 years old. I'd just been in the Navy a few months, U.S. Navy a few months. I was living on this really awful ship called the USS Mazama, which is on the East Coast, going up and down from Newark, New Jersey to Norfolk, Virginia. Really beautiful places. And I'm mess cooking. They had me mess cooking. I hated it. And I was working like 12, 15 hours a day, and they didn't give me a weekend off or anything. So I finally got my first day off, and I was going to get off the ship, and I was really excited. And so I had a friend of mine press my uniform at the ship's laundry. And I knew I had to get off the ship because we were anchored out. It was an ammunition ship, so they had us anchored out in Newark. And I'm trying to get off that ship. And I worked late, and they're calling the last call for the last boat. So I'm running across the ship to the laundry room. I can see my friend there. And I raised my head up too fast, and I hit a knife edge on the door, and it sliced across my head. But the way I remember it is that I kept going. And I got into the laundry room with my friend, and I said, I need my uniform up. The boat's about to leave. And he didn't seem to react to me. And I was concerned. I said, come on, give me my uniform. The boat's about to leave. I'm not going to get up for liberty. And he's not reacting to me at all. he's kind of looking through me, looking behind me, looks a little concerned. So I finally turned around, and I saw it. I saw myself on the floor, blood running down my face, and just in a clump on the ground, looked like dead. And I thought, I don't think I'm going to go back to that. That was pretty terrible. My friend got on the phone, called the medics, and they told him what to do. He went over and broke the glass on an emergency medical supply kit, got it out, got into the smelling salts, and went over to my body and put the smelling salts under my nose, and that's when I came back. They took me to the ship's medical facility. Actually, they had taken me across 3 ships, because the ship I was on didn't have one, and there were 3 ships anchored out there. And they put 17 stitches across my head. They said, don't worry about it, it won't show because your hair will cover it. So, I was only 19. Anyway, after that occurred, something else happened in my life that was kind of unusual. I'd always been a really bad student. I got C's and D's through elementary school, and D's and F's through high school. And I was really a terrible student. I even went and did a year at junior college where I managed a D average. So, and they were off. A month or so later, I got into another ship. I was only temporarily on the garbage scholarship out there. They put me on a newer ship, and they offered us a class from Harvard University, put on by a Harvard professor in English composition. And I found something really unusual. I found I was the top in the class. After I got out of the Navy, I went back to school, went to the same junior college that I went to where I managed D average, and was top of my class in every single class. Went on to earn a master's degree at Cal State LA. Went on to become a marketing director for hospital systems. And I think that something happened that day. I mean, I went from almost, one day I was just kind of dumb. I tried, it wasn't like I didn't go to the classes. I studied hard, I still couldn't get the grades. And next thing I found is I could top everybody else in the whole class. Maybe it was some kind of positive head trauma, I don't know. But it worked. And I've heard of other people that have had similar experiences with their near-death experience. But anyway, today, before I give my presentation, I want to show you something cool. What? I want to show you something cool. So I do need the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll keep yelling. We've done a lot of TV shows, and I wanted to play the one with Diane Sawyer. It's only 3 minutes, and after that I promise I'll talk. If I can make it work. I've never worked one of these machines before. Maybe I can do it. I'm only going to play one. I'll play one later.
Of documenting miracles and also
Didn't work, did it? Okay, I'll try that again. I thought I could knock this little thing off, but I guess I can't. Okay, there it is.
and Good Morning Live of documenting miracles and also how you actually elect someone to become a saint. But today we thought we'd introduce you to a man who thinks that he was, in fact, the recipient of an unofficial miracle. For more than 2 decades on this Bosnian mountainside, thousands of people say they have seen something extraordinary, something magical and mysterious. The Mother Mary, a bright light.
It's the double image now, look at that.
Double image. And the Virgin Mary, some claim, has appeared here in this Massachusetts hospital window just this past summer. And just steps away from the Pacific Ocean in Ventura, California, in this little art gallery, people are also seeing something healing, claiming that they've truly been touched by an angel.
And I placed my hands on these 2 bottom angels like this, and I said to myself, if there's anything out there, I really need some help.
I saw angels flying from out of the painting. I felt an incredible amount of love.
My husband was killed in the line of duty in 1995. I put my hand close to the painting and received a very serene feeling. I yanked my hand away, I cried, and somewhere in that feeling it did radiate that he was okay, I was going to be okay, and my newly born son was going to be okay.
The angel paintings have an extraordinary history. It was 1985. Andy Lakey, who had never painted, was down and out, had overdosed after freebasing cocaine. To this day, he doesn't know if he had a psychotic episode or a religious vision. What he recalls is that 7 angels picked him up off the floor of his shower and made him a bargain that saved his life and his soul.
It was almost imprinted in my mind, these 7 angels twirling around my feet and spinning towards my chest. And I prayed to God if he'd let me live, that I would never do drugs again, and I would save the world.
Angels would tell him he must paint angels, and lots of them, even though he had never picked up a paintbrush.
They were going to guide me, and I would learn how to paint.
So he did what he was told, and it soon became his passion and success. His deep strokes and very thick paint were to be touched and not just seen. Soon stories of mystery and faith, healing and hope were heard.
It's not me doing it. It's another force. It's God. It's the light. It's something that came through me. I certainly cannot take credit for any of it.
The textured ridges would help even more after singer Ray Charles touched them too.
And Ray Charles spent almost 2 hours exploring that painting with me. It was almost like he was feeling light. It was like he was getting an energy, a charge.
Lakey's paintings would be so vivid to the blind. Over the years, the paintings would have such an impact. This medical researcher in Michigan is studying their effects. He asked 40 patients to sleep with these mini paintings under their pillow.
Several patients have stated that they're not experiencing nightmares like they normally do.
And they say they've improved in other areas.
Diabetes, arthritis, many different medical conditions.
It's interesting that people have these stories of when you touch the art, these healings happen, these feelings happen, these things happen. To me, it's just a painting on wood.
So, was it a drug-induced hallucination or a spiritual visit that inspired Lakey and his paintings? The mystery endures. His very first angel, a painting called Angel Number 1, hangs at the Vatican.
Anyway, that gives you a little bit of an idea about who we are and about Andy Lakey's art. But one of the questions people have is, how did you get to be running an angel store? Well, you know what? We didn't mean to open an angel store, and we didn't want to open an angel store. We were happy doing what we were doing. I've been working for 20 years as a marketing director for hospital systems. I've worked throughout California, Kansas, and New York, Philadelphia. And I thought I was pretty good at it. In fact, I was really successful and really accomplished a lot. And I was recruited to an organization from San Jose, California to Salina, Kansas, where they told us that we'd live a really beautiful lifestyle, and we did. I mean, we sold our little townhouse in San Jose and bought a mansion in the country in Salina, Kansas. And we were very happy living there. We liked the people, we liked the life, we liked everything about it. It was for an Episcopal hospital system that worked with troubled youth. And I was hired by an Episcopal priest with an Episcopal organization who told me that their idea was to become more diversified, bring in more professional people, some lay people, so that instead of just running it with all priests, they get the best people in the world instead of the best priests to run it. And for the first couple of years, we did that. And I set us up with one of the top consulting firms in Philadelphia, and we increased the marketing and fundraising and everything for the organization. But the priest that I was working with ended up choosing his successor, which is a mistake. Never do that. Never ever choose your successor. Because his successor decided that instead of waiting 5 years to get into his position, he was going to get into the position right away. So we went to the board of directors, started finding every bit of dirt he could find on my boss, and got him fired.
Wow.
And then he decided that he wanted to put Episcopal priests back in all the positions, including mine. So the next thing I find is I'm fired, and we're going back to California. And I can't find work back there. I mean, I'm putting up resumes all over the place. I'm trying different positions. It's not working. And we start going down in this downward spiral in our lives. we're renting a house, and we end up having to rent out rooms. We lose our house in Kansas. We lost our cars. We end up getting food stamps and welfare. And my parents saw what situation we were in and offered to loan us some money to start our own business. Now, I had worked with hospital systems for several years, and I knew how to run a thrift store. And I said, you know, probably we could do a thrift store and make it work, and they're pretty lucrative. So we did some research and found that the best place for a thrift store was downtown Ventura, California, wherever that is. And it's a city between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, about half an hour to the south of Santa Barbara, about 1 hour north of Los Angeles. This is a city that's on the beach, but had kind of depressed downtown with a lot of thrift stores. So we decided we were going to put a thrift store in downtown Ventura. So Francesca and I would walk the streets of Ventura a few times a week and look for openings and places to put it. In the meantime, things are getting worse and worse for us. And nobody wanted to rent a place to us because we didn't have background doing retail or background really doing thrift stores. And it was pretty nepotistic. People liked to rent to their friends and relatives and things like that. They didn't know who we were. So it got bleaker and bleaker for us. And my wife Francesca started having reoccurring dreams that the clouds in the skies would open up and angels would look down at her and smile, and she would smile back. And I figured she was having a psychotic episode. and then one night in January of 1995, she had a slightly different dream. A friend of hers, a man by the name of Alejandro from Nicaragua, who died the year before, came to her in a dream holding a golden bound book. And she said, you know, Alejandro, what are you doing here? You're dead. And he said, yes, I know that I'm dead, but I've been sent to bring you this book. She said, what kind of book is this? And he said, read the book. She opened the book, and on white pages with black letters, it told you everything you can imagine about angels. And how do I know this? She woke me up at 5 in the morning. She started telling me. She said, gee, this is important. I had this dream. Alejandro, my friend who died last year, brought me this book. I said, right. I said, and it tells everything you can imagine about angels. Angels are messengers of God to bring God's love to the world. She's going on and on. I'm saying, why are you telling me this? It's 5 in the morning. She says, no, this is important. It's extremely important. You've got to know this. I read the book. It's great. We woke up in the morning and sat down for breakfast with our 2 sons. And she started telling them this story about Alejandro and the book and all the messages in it about angels. And our youngest son, Kevin, who was 13 at the time, says, no, Mom, I don't think so, Mom. I really don't think so, Mom. And she says, first, your dad doesn't want to hear about it. And now you don't want to hear about it. Kevin, what is this? And he said, it isn't that I don't want to hear about it, Mom. It's that you can't do it. She said, what do you mean I can't do it? I know I read the book. She said, no, you couldn't have read the book. He said, one side of your brain reads, and one side of your brain dreams, and you can't do both things at the same time. You can't read and dream. She says, look, I know what I did, and I know what it said. He said, Mom, either you didn't read the book, or it wasn't a dream. The same day we walked the streets of Ventura, we walked down a little further to the worst part of Ventura, on Main Street. And there's this building there. There's paper all over the windows, and it says police in the windows. And it's in kind of a bleak part of town. There's street people living in the entrance of it. And they asked us for money, anyway, which we didn't have. So we walked back down. So we wrote the phone number down. We walked down about 3 stores, and there was a little hardware store there. And the man that owned it was a really nice guy who's since passed away. And we told him about that building that we were interested in the building. And he said, you know, the owner's representative of that building is just around the corner. You should go see him. So we felt we had nothing else going that day since I wasn't working. So we walked around the corner, and we met Bruce, the representative for the owner of the building. And Bruce was really excited. He acted like no one had ever looked at the building before. I don't think anybody had. So he took us over back to the building, got the keys, and took us quickly over to the building, unlocks the door, and the place is totally trashed. They just used the place as a drug rehab recreation center. There's holes in the walls. The carpet is just terrible. And it's covered with cigarette butts. There's old rotting couches going back about 100 feet down each side of the building. And they just fumigated the place, and there were dead rats and cockroaches on the floor. So we're stepping over these things, going through. And he takes us to, there's a door. He unlocks the door, and we go to a room that's even worse. It has junk piled to the roof. On both sides in a narrow passageway with sticky black linoleum on it. And we walk down the passageway, it's sticking to the floor. And we get to, at the end of the passageway, there's a washer and dryer, a big pile of dirty clothes. And then there's no back door to the place, just a bathroom. We get to the bathroom, and I looked at it for a while. And that's funny, they painted the walls black in this bathroom. And I realized it wasn't paint. It was black moss growing down the sides of the wall. So I take Francesca to the side, and I said, you know, I don't think this is the right place for us. I mean, this building's only 12 feet wide. It won't work as a thrift store. I said, I don't think, and it's trashed. I mean, I don't think we can fix this place. She said, this is what we're supposed to have. I said, no, she said, I said, this won't work as a thrift store. She said, it's not going to be a thrift store. I said, what's it going to be? She said, it's going to be an angel store. I said, that's a pretty stupid idea. I said, first of all, we don't know anything about retail. We don't know where to buy an angel. And if we got an angel, we wouldn't even know what to sell it for. She says, we'll learn. I said, I don't think so. This is a bad idea. She said, if it isn't an angel store, I'm not going to do it. So I thought, okay, maybe I should make it some kind of angel store for her. So I called my dad, who was going to help us finance the building. And he came down. And he was kind of interested in it. And it turned out, I took him around and to meet Bruce, and it happened that the owner was there. The owner of the building was there. And it turned out my dad knew him. They'd done some business together in the past. And he negotiated a really fantastic, my dad was excited, it was on Main Street, you know, it was kind of trash, but it was on Main Street. And he negotiated a deal where we got 2 months free rent to try to fix the place, a 1-year trial lease, because he didn't think we would do it, and a 5-year promissory lease afterwards, which is about as good as you get, with very low radiance of increase, rent increase on the building. So I go back to the building with my dad, and we sit down on a step. And my dad says, well, Keith, how are you going to make this run as a thrift store anyway? And I said, well, Francesca and I had talked about this, and I don't think it's going to be a thrift store. He said, what's it going to be? I said, it's going to be an angel store. He said, a what? I said, an angel store. He said, what the hell's an angel store? I said, it's a store where you sell like little angel gift items. He says, like knickknacks? I said, yeah, Dad, that's right, it's like knickknacks. He said, let me get this straight. You're going to be a knickknack store that only sells one kind of knickknack. He said, that's a really stupid idea. He said, I've worked with a lot of people before. He might have ran a loan organization. He said, I've heard some really bad ideas, but I think this is the very worst idea I've ever heard of. This is a terrible idea. He said, and what makes it really terrible is that I just signed the lease. My dad signed the lease with me. And I'm going to be stuck with it if you don't make the store run. So we compromised. We made it, we sold gourmet food, and we had one shelf of white enamel angels. That's all we could find. But we found something. We called the place Things from Heaven, Food and Gifts. We found something really bad right away. We found that food didn't sell. And we had to close out all the food and put in all the angels. Now, while this was happening, something else was going on. We make our angel store work. We've been open for 30 days. And the first 30 days that we were open, we were grossing about $10 a day, which didn't pay the rent. And luckily we were so poor we didn't know that. So anyway, the city of Ventura, in its brilliance, decided to chop down all the streets on all the trees on Main Street, tear out all the sidewalks, and renovate all of downtown. And they closed up all the streets while they did this. And no one was coming to our store except for street people, whom we got to know quite well. So, into the store, through the mud that was our sidewalk, walked a very eloquently dressed woman with high heel shoes, which she trudged through the mud with, into the store, and she turned around in circles and she said, I love your store. I love the energy of your store. I love everything about your store. You guys should be selling international art in your store. Keep in mind, our store only went in 50. We didn't have the money to put a lot of stock in it. We had jewelry shelves that we bought from a store that was going out of business, but we had teddy bears that Francesca dressed up with a glue gun in those. I said, we're not quite ready for international art in the store, but I really appreciate it. She said, no, you should be selling Andy Lakey's art in your store. And I said, who's Andy Lakey? And she said, he's the most famous living angel artist. His art is in the Vatican. He's been on a lot of TV shows. He's been on Oprah Winfrey. He's been on Lifestyles. He's been on Sightings. I said, I think I saw the guy somewhere on TV, but we're not ready for his art. She said, no, you're ready for this art. You've got to promise me something. I said, what is it? She said, promise me that you're going to call Andy Lakey. And I said, sure. She left on I let it go. 2 months later, this lady showed up again in the store. And she came up to me. She pointed at me. She said, have you called Andy yet? And I said, Andy who? She said, Andy Lakey, the man I told you about the last time I was here, the one that's supposed to paint the 2,000 angel paintings about the year 2000. One of his art's in the Vatican. I said, yeah, I know what you're talking about now, but we're not ready for his art. I mean, let's be realistic. There's hundreds of beautiful gift stores throughout the state of California where an artist like Andy Lakey could put his art. There's hundreds of beautiful galleries throughout the state of California where an artist like Andy Lakey could put his art. I said, why would an internationally famous artist like Andy Lakey put his art in my store? Look at this store. He said, look, I love your store. I love the energy of your store. I love everything about your store. And Andy Lakey's a good friend of mine. I used to work with him 10 years ago selling cars. I recently saw him at Terra's Angels in San Juan Capistrano, and I told him about your store. He said he might be interested. You've got to call him, and you've got to call him right now. And I said, do you have his number? And she said, no. I said, do you know where his studio is? And she said, no. I said, you know what, I'll get around to it. She said, I'm not leaving your store until you call Andy Lakey. I'm going to dial 911. But I'm looking around, I'm selling a copy of this magazine, which hasn't been in publication since 1996, called Angel Times. And I remember there was a little story about Andy in the magazine, and I thought maybe there's something that will help me. And I'm digging through the magazine, and I came across this. And it says call 1-800-Lakey-ART. So I called the number, and I got this art gallery in upstate New York. And the man I talked to said, Andy Lakey doesn't live in New York, he lives in California. So I called, he gave me another phone number to call him in California. I called the number, and I got his assistant, Jean. She said, I can't be very encouraging about this. We have 106 galleries around the world, and we have no intention of opening any new galleries in the near future. I said, there's a lady here. She says her name is Pam. She used to work with him 10 years ago. She recently saw him, and he told her he might be interested in having his art in her store. And Jean said, let me tell you something about Andy Lakey. He's a nice guy. He tells a lot of people a lot of things. But I assure you of one thing. He has no intention of opening any new galleries in the near future. I said, okay, well, thanks anyway. And she said, wait. I said, what is it? She said, if you'd like, I'll take your name and number. And someday, if we ever decide to open another gallery, maybe we'll give you some consideration. I thought, this is getting really stupid. But I looked over at Pam. She had great blue eyes. They just pierced right through you. I thought, if I don't leave my name and number with this lady on the phone, Pam is going to bother me forever. So I left my name and number, and 2 days later, I get a call from Andy Lakey. He says, I've heard of your store. I might have some interest in having my art in your store, but I've got some major concerns. I thought he'd heard of my store. I said, but I felt I had nothing to lose by this time. I said, okay, Andy, what are your concerns? And he said, my major concern is I don't know where Ventura is. Which is funnier than Ventura. And he said, where are you in relation to San Juan Capistrano and San Mateo, which are places about 600 miles apart? I said, we're really far from both those places. We talked for about an hour and a half, and when we were done, we had a deal. But I had to buy 3 pieces of art. The biggest one I bought was smaller than this. And the smallest one I bought was just a bit larger than this. Anyway, I sent the money. I sent him my rent money. And I got my little painting. We moved our curtains back 5 feet. So it's only at 55 feet now. And it had 110 feet to go. And we put them on the wall, and we realized quickly that we were in trouble, because it's not much of an art gallery to have with only 3 pieces of art, but I realized if I sold a piece of art, I'd only have 2. So I called Andy's assistant. I said, Gene, I've got a problem. I only have 3 pieces of art. That's all I can afford. I mean, it's not my rent. And I wondered if you have any ideas about how maybe I could get something on consignment or something. And she says, well, he doesn't do consignment, but what you can do is spiritual energy paintings. And I'm like, what a bad idea. Instead of selling paintings off the wall, she wants to do something else. I said, what's a spiritual energy painting? She said, Andy Lakey can take the energy that he gets from people by an outline of their hand or fingerprint or a photograph or something that means something to them. He sent it to him, he puts it behind his canvas, and they're kind of boxes. He tapes them behind, and he paints something with the energy that he gets. Again, I thought it was a pretty stupid idea, except for I just sent all my rent money to them. So I said, okay, I'll try it.
I think most people know Andy Lakey had a near-death experience as well. He's very intuitive.
Oh, yes.
This is his book. We still have one copy here, and I think I still have some more at home with me, which tells his near-death experience as well as these things.
And I've got another video I'm going to play at the end that shows a little bit better story about his near-death experience too. 3 minutes. That's all they give you these days in these videos. Anyway, back to the story. So,
Sorry to interrupt.
that's okay. So, I have these 3 little tiny paintings. I'm doing spiritual energy paintings. I never met Andy Lakey until 8 months later. I didn't have a car that could get there. I just had a Ford Escort. It couldn't go that far. It was 3-hour drive to where the studio was, and it only went like 1 hour away. So, some friends of ours took us to see Andy at his studio, and we got together with him, and we talked for a while. And after a while, he asked me the question. He said, Keith, how did I get my art in your store anyway? Because he kind of wondered. And I told him the story that I just told you. And he said, no, Keith, that's not what happened. That's not what really happened at all. I said, what do you think really happened? He said, what really happened is the angels brought you to me. The angels bring everything to me, and they brought you to me too. I said, come on. Look, you can tell it to other people. You can tell the people at Sidings, maybe. You can tell the people at the National Choir, which you was in. But you can't tell it to me. I was there. I know what really happened. He said, what do you think really happened? I said, what happened is your friend Pam, whose opinion it appears you respect, told you about our store, and you decided to give us a try of a recommendation, right? He said, no, that's not what happened. He said, let me tell you something about Pam. He said, she's not a good friend of mine. I worked with her 10 years ago selling cars. I saw her Tara's Angels about a year ago, but I hadn't seen her before then, and I haven't seen her since. He said, the reason that I went with you is I feel it was divine intervention. The angels bring me everything, and they brought you to me too. I said, what are you trying to tell me, Andy? He said, what I'm trying to tell you is that for some weird reason, you're outselling all my other galleries.
Oh my God.
And he hit galleries in New York, and Chicago, and Boston, and Beverly Hills, and San Francisco. And he says, how are you doing this? And I said, I don't know, we're just doing spiritual energy paintings. And like they told us. But he says, are people from Beverly Hills coming to your store to buy them? I said, no, we did research on it. Most of the people are coming from Ventura. Which he didn't respect at the time. Anyway, to this day, our little store in Ventura, and it's not a real fancy store, it's not the best part of town. In fact, we're next to a porno store, we're next to a liquor store, we're next to a biker bar. We still outsell every other gallery that he has in the world. In fact, we were the ones that brought his art to Japan. I'll tell you how we did this. But before I do, I know what I want to tell you. You see, when I first got this art, I just thought it was art. I didn't know it did anything. I thought it was just kind of spiritual, that he saw this in a near-death experience. He saw these angels in a near-death experience. And it was really cool, because he could paint what he saw. And I put him on my wall in the store. And the first thing that happened is a psychic from town came into the store, and she put her hands on the paintings. And she said, you know what? All these paintings, we only did 3, but all these paintings have their own meaning. I said, that's cool. She said, she put her hand on the first one, she says, oh my God, this one has like a child's energy. She went to the next one, this is like a youth energy. It would have like a youth group or something. The last one, she said, oh my God, this is the most powerful of all. This would help someone who's dying find peace in their last days. This would help their families. This is a great painting. And I thought she was crazy. That's nice. The next day, another psychic came with an entourage to our store. They'd heard about this great art we had. And he's putting his hands, he's doing all these things, and in his entourage, I was like, oh, you're so great. And I said, you know, I have a question for you. Can you tell me what these paintings mean? And he says, sure. He stops for a minute. He puts his hand over the first one and says, wow, this one's like youth energy. This is strange. Then it's a group energy. Wow, this is amazing. Last one, oh my God, this one is really powerful. It would help someone go to the other side in peace. I thought, well, what are the odds of this? 2 psyches from 2 different places coming to the same thing. But I still wasn't totally convinced. We finally got to the point where we could sell those paintings. And we, the first person that bought one was a man who, his wife was pregnant, and he wanted to get a painting that would help the child find spirituality in his life. We didn't tell him anything. I told Francesca, don't tell him anything about this art, because I'm going to see if this really works. And he walked right over to that painting that had the child energy. He said, that's the only one of the 3 that calls me. And bought it. And then, about a week later, we had members of a hospice group. It was a group, these people, they had like meetings every week, and they would talk, people that had been diagnosed with terminal illness, and they'd pass things around and do different things. They decided they would buy a painting for their group, and they picked the one that had the most energy, that would help people go to the other side in peace. And then something happened that made me think maybe it wasn't real. We had a lady with terminal cancer who came to the store, and when she put her hand on the painting, the group energy painting, it would make her feel really good. So she bought it, and she took it home. But about a month later, we had another painting done, and she came in and put her hands on it. She felt it was even better. She liked it even better, and asked if she could trade it. She traded that painting, and within a week, members of the youth group bought that painting. So we started respecting the fact that the paintings knew who they belonged to. Now, but I still wasn't totally convinced about all this stuff going on. I thought people were just kind of playing a game with me. I was selling a painting to a lady, really well-dressed, elderly lady, came into the store, and she was looking at the art, and I thought maybe she could afford to buy one. So I took my hand and I put it over one of the pieces and looked the way he painted this. And as I did this, I felt like a warm, tingling feeling go right through my fingers, into my hand, up my arm, and I thought, whoa, I've been working here too long. I took a step back from the painting, I put my hands behind my back, and the lady walked, and I tried to pretend like nothing happened. The lady walked over to the painting, put her hands over it, and she said, my God, did you feel that? And I said, feel what? She said, the heat, the tingling, is there something behind this painting? I said, you know what, I felt it too, but nobody told me they're supposed to do this. I tried it with almost everybody that came into the store after that. And about 80% of all the people that came to our store could feel something coming off these paintings. And it just totally blew us away. To this day, people come from all over the world to feel this. And we had people do TV shows about it. In fact, the show, little segment I'm going to show at the end of this shows somebody who didn't expect to have something happen to him. Let me see. I'm not going to put Francesca in this. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about spiritual energy paintings, and then I'm going to let Francesca speak. Yay! Okay. We started doing these spiritual energy paintings, and I thought it was a pretty stupid idea. And the first person to buy one was this Filipino man by the name of Arlie. He had a Christian youth group out of Los Angeles down towards Anaheim, down towards Disneyland. And they would meet every week with the kids, and they would discuss different spiritual things. So he decided that he wanted to do a painting for his group. So he gave me an 8x10 photograph of his youth group, and I sent it to Andy Lakey to do a painting. About 6 weeks later, I get a painting back, and it really concerned me because I'd never seen a painting by Andy Lakey that looked like it. It had 7 little swirling lines coming down. It had 7 rays of light going up. It had these 7 little tiny buggy little angels on it, all over it, everyone sitting on a line. And I thought, I wish he'd just paint me something like, one angel or something. Why is he doing this? I don't think they're going to like this painting. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen them turn out for me. But they'd already paid me part of the money, and I needed the money. So I called up Arlie to come pick up his painting. So he showed up on Saturday morning with 6 members of his youth group, 6 of the directors of the youth group. And they came into the store, and I was trying to be cool. I said, look at this. He painted the painting just for you. He painted it with the picture that you gave us. Isn't this nice? It's still taken behind it. And one of the members of the groups, one of the leaders said to me, show us the painting. I turned it over slowly. And they started doing something that concerned me. They looked at each other, and they put their hands over their faces, and they started shaking their heads. Oh God, why did I let them talk me into doing these spiritual energy things? What a bad idea. And it seemed to be getting worse because Arlie said to me, he said, why did you tell Andy Lakey about our youth group anyway? I said, I don't know much about your youth group at all. He said, but how did he know our philosophy? I said, we're blown away. Can't you see we're blown away? I didn't think you guys liked it. He said, this is fantastic. I can't believe how he did this. How did he know our philosophy? Did you tell him? I said, I don't know your philosophy. He said, every morning when we start the youth group, we tell the kids the same thing. We say we all walk different paths, but we're all going to the same place 7 days a week. And it's right here on the painting. Every one of those little angels is walking up a little path. There's 7 rays of light coming down. It's exactly what our youth group talks about. And to this day, it's been 11 years, they still use the painting. Another spiritual energy painting that was done. A lady gave me a really odd photograph. It looked like Wonder Woman or something. This person in the sky with her hands up in the air, wearing goggles, in a flight suit, in the air. And I said, what is this photograph anyway? And she said, I'm not going to tell you anything about this photograph. I have to know in my heart that this painting was done with spiritual energy and that you didn't tell Andy Lakey anything about it. I said, okay. She was painting me. I was going to mess this up. I said, sure. Okay, I just sent it in. So I sent in the photograph to Andy Lakey, and about 6 weeks later, I get this painting back, and it wasn't anything real unusual to me. It was one angel with 6 rays of light. Kind of like, do I have one anymore? I think I sold it. And I sold it. But it was bigger, but it was one angel with 6 rays of light. And I showed it to the lady, and she said, I said, does this mean anything to you? And she said, no. I said, okay. I said, I turned it over. I saw that photograph of that person flying in the air. I said, you were kind of mysterious about this photograph when I talked to you, kind of secretive. What is this photograph anyway? She said, this is a picture of me. I'm a photographer. I work with skydiving teams. This is the lady that comes in the store, came in the store really elegantly dressed, high heel shoes, really just dressed to kill in my store. I couldn't help but say it. I said, you're a skydiver? And she said, yes, I work with teams doing photography. She said, this photo was taken in 1992. She said, we were going to make a jump. One day in 1992, I was going to make another jump with a group and take photographs. And my mother got sick, I couldn't make the jump. She said, that day the plane crashed and all the members were killed. I'm the only surviving member of the team. I looked at, I said, it's interesting, there's 6 rays of light, like the 6 people in the team. She said, there's 6 rays of light on a lot of Andy Lakey's painting. I don't think that means anything. I said, well, maybe it doesn't. I said, look, the number on the back, it's 1392. If you add that up, it adds to 6 too. She said, I'm not really into numerology. That doesn't mean anything to me. I said, okay. I gave her the painting. She sat with it for a while. And then she started to cry. She said, you know what? The plane crashed on the 13th, and the year was 1992. She took the painting with her and came back a few weeks later, and she said, I want to thank you. I want to thank Andy Lakey for this painting. It's really changed my life. She said, before I got this painting, I had something called survivor's syndrome. She said, I found myself up at night crying. I considered suicide. I went through a lot of things. She said, since I got this painting, I realized it was their time to go and not my time to go. She said, whenever I'm feeling sad or lonely or anything goes wrong in my life, I get my painting, I put it on my lap, and I say a prayer about it. And I know that everything's going to be okay. Most recently, we haven't done many spiritual energy paintings. Andy actually stopped doing them for a while, but he started doing them again. And we had a retired Roman Catholic nun come to the store and give us a picture of her holding a dove in her hand. Maybe it was a white pigeon, I'm not sure. It was an interesting photo of that. She said the bird just flew over in her hand. It's kind of strange. And she wanted to do a spiritual energy painting with that animal in her hand. So we did. About 2 months later, we got the painting back. It was a big painting. And Francesca started realizing things about this painting. It had 5 angels, all in a circle. It had 9 rays of light on it. They asked Francesca to go and give a presentation to the group of retired nuns and other spiritual people in the group called Circle of Love. And she gave it to them, and they were very impressed with all of this, especially the fact that the 5 angels they saw representing the 5 major faiths on earth, and the 9 rays of light representing the 9 orders of angels. This nun is now using this painting, she's reproducing it, and using it to raise money to help retired nuns throughout the United States. I'm going to talk about Psychomanteum, but I'm going to let Francesca talk first. Because, let me tell you about Francesca. I've been married to Francesca for 31 years, almost 32. No, 31, almost 31. That's what I'm going to write today. And I've known her since 1972, when she was 2 years old. Anyway, what?
Just let you find out.
Okay, that's all right. And anyway, Francesca is Nicaraguan. They call Nicaragua the land of lakes and volcanoes. It's also the land of poets. The most famous poet in all of Latin America lived in Nicaragua. His name is Rubén Darío. And he was kind of like O. Henry and some of these other people we have in this country. He was always drunk, and people always find him laying around drunk. But all of the people, all of Nicaragua, really appreciate his work. I studied his work a little bit when I did my master's thesis field work in Nicaragua. And I learned a story about him, but I don't know if let's see if I can do it today. There were these people looking for Rubén Darío in the town that he lived. And they looked all over, they couldn't find him. Finally someone led him to him, and he's laying on the ground, there's pigs sitting around him, he's in the mud. And they said, this is the famous Rubén Darío here in the dirt. And they couldn't believe it. They said, if you're Rubén Darío, you should be able to make a poem out of anything. And he said, I can. said, where did you come from? Where are you going? What is your name and how do you feel? And he said, I translated this. I came from heaven, I'm going to hell. My name is Del Rio, and I'm doing quite well. So Nicaraguan poems, jokes are translatable. Anyway, I'll let Francesca give hers.
Before I just want to say that my sister was one. I'm not going to say anything about Akita, just some poems that I have written because we have a group called Circle of One, and we get together every month. So we always work on a word, and we need to practice and live for the whole month about that word. So these are poems that I have written, and I'm just very honored to read them to all of you. The first one is called Unconditional Love. Unconditional love is learning to walk my own path. Unconditional love is learning to allow my friends and family members to walk their own paths. Unconditional love is knowing that every spiritual being comes from one source. Unconditional love is all the energy of the universe vibrating at its highest level. This one is very dear to my heart because it's about compassion. Compassion blooms in the heart like the rose in the garden of light. Compassion lives in the soul like a beacon that shines over an ocean of love. Have love and compassion for everyone in the world, and all of your days will be filled with happiness and joy. The next one is called A Mystery of Light. I had a dream because I'm not like Keith. Keith is goes to meditation. I see all my vision in my dreams. And I saw all these men in a circle, and they were all dressed. Some were Hindus, some of them were dressed in like Buddhist monks, from a Catholic priest, ministers, and from all different religions, and all in a circle. And I perceived to be the only woman there. And I just stayed looking at them all in a circle praying. They were all praying for peace. And I stayed with my hands like this, joining them in prayer for peace. And all suddenly, I saw myself this just being of light, just glowing. And I opened my eyes and I just could not even understand what happened. So one day I found this book called A Mystery of Light, and I realized that he had the same, it wasn't a dream to him, but the same experience I had in my dream. So I wrote this book about it, and I'm really, really glad to share it with all of you. I am an emissary of light. May this light always shine within me, so I may send it to everyone. I am an emissary of peace. May this peace always be within me, so I may show peace to the world. I am an emissary of love. May this love fill my soul with light and peace, so I may share it with heaven and earth. I am an emissary of light, peace, and love. I am.
Okay, now we're going to get into psychomanteums. Okay, the first thing I have to do is, what is a psychomanteum? Because I didn't know what a psychomanteum was. We kind of stumbled upon the whole phenomenon, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I'll tell kind of what it has been described as. Now, there have been descriptions of places where people can go to where they can communicate with lost loved ones. And they go back as far as written language. There's hieroglyphics in Egypt about it. Homer describes the Oracle of the Dead in the Odyssey. In fact, they even describe ways to make them where you don't have to go to the Oracle of the Dead, which we did, but we didn't do it the way he did. This is why they tell children to do it. They said, dig a big pit and put the blood of sacrificed animals in the pit, and then gaze into the blood and see your lost loved ones. Now, we thought that was kind of a messy way to do it, but we didn't mean to do it. But what happened with us is we started with an angel store that kept going back because we didn't have enough money to fill it with stock. And it kept going back until we got it pushed all the way back to the door, which we were using as a storeroom, to the room that we were using as a storeroom for the food we were selling. But when we closed out all the food, we turned that into an art gallery. And we put all of Andy Lakey's art into the gallery. But we put lights on it, and we did all these things. But we didn't realize it would do anything. We also in the process of all this happening, a spontaneous shrine popped up in the back of the store on one of our displays. And as we moved it back into the store, it got back to where it just went back against the wall. It was right at the entrance to the gallery. And to this day, there's over 17,000 prayers on that wall. And they're from people from all over the world, and there's just about every language, culture, and religion in the world represented on that wall. And maybe that is part of what made the whole thing happen. Between the angels, you go through the Hall of Angels, you go to the giant wall of prayers, and then into the Gallery of Art by Andy Lakey. And something started to happen as soon as we got that put together. And you know what? I didn't believe it at first. It started with a Native American man, about this tall, kind of stocky guy, with a really bad attitude. Street person. He had just filthy clothes. He smelled like he hadn't bathed in like a month. He came into our store, came right up to our son, who was a big guy, bigger than me. They called him the bone breaker in high school, and he was just out of high school at the time. And the guy came up to my son, he said, working in a store like this, you probably don't believe in God or angels. You probably believe in God and angels, don't you? And my son said, yes. And he said, well, I don't. I think this is a bunch of crap. I think this whole store is crap. And my son didn't get me. He got Francesca. He said, Mom, I think you got a problem. And Francesca goes over to the man. He says, I don't believe in God or angels. I think this store is a bunch of crap. And Francesca says, why would you say that? He said, if the things that happened to you, that had happened to you, that have happened to me, you wouldn't believe in God or angels either. She said, what happened? He said, I was happy. I was living on a reservation in Arizona. And one night, my wife and my two sons were driving. They were hit by a drunk driver head on. And they were killed. It destroyed my whole life. I left the reservation. I got involved in crime, violence, drug, alcohol abuse. He said, I've been living on the streets of Ventura for this last 6 months. And they've thrown me in jail every single night. I overheard this as a great, this is really good to have this guy so But Francesca, being who she was, takes this guy back to the shrine and says, you should write a prayer. I mean, I'm thinking of calling the police. She thinks about having him write a prayer. So she gets him back there, he writes the prayer, puts it up on the shrine. And then, well, that's enough. But Francesca says, you need to put your hands on the paintings of Andy Lakey in the gallery. I mean, I thought this guy would buy a painting by Andy Lakey in about 8 billion years. But she has to get him back there, put his hand on the painting. So she drags him to the back of the store. And they're back there for quite some time, and I'm starting to get worried. I think this guy may be killing my wife in the back of the store, because he's a pretty rowdy guy. So I go back to the back, go into the gallery, and there's this guy with his hand on the painting, and he's crying like a baby. And he's saying, I was so wrong, oh my God, I was so wrong. I was so wrong, oh my God, I was so wrong. And I worked in mental health for 20 years. I saw sociopathic behavior. I figured, this guy's really good. Francesca says, so what happened? He said, oh my God, I just saw something unbelievable. She said, what did you see? He said, well, the first thing I saw was my wife. She came to me and she said, don't worry about me, Sundance. I'm happy where I am. You've got to go with your life and everything's going to be okay. He said, then I saw one of my sons and he said, Daddy, don't worry about me. I'm happy where I am. You've got to go with your life and everything's going to be okay.
Right.
He said, and then I saw God. And God told me I was on the wrong path and I had to go back to the reservation and work with the orphans. Now, I thought the guy was calling us. And he came back the next day. And I said, look, Francesca, see, he was conning us. He came back the next day, he brought her a crystal. He said, this is a symbol of power, my people. I want it to be in your store, to always keep your store powerful with energy. She put it in her shrine. It's still there somewhere. She gave him like $5. I said, the guy's got your number. said, look, he's getting money out of you. The next day he showed up again. He had some Native American sweetgrass. He said, burn this in your store. We'll keep it cleansed, and there will be no evil spirits in your store. And she gave him another $5. And I said, this guy's going to come back forever. So this guy's found himself an easy mark. And he's probably stealing these things and bringing them to you. The next day he came to the store with somebody who kind of concerned me. Remember the Hills Angels Biker Club? And he said, he brought Francesca, and at that time he brought Francesca a brass bracelet. He said, this will keep you, keep it protected some way. And he said, I'm leaving for the reservation with this guy. I'm going to be in the back of the motorcycle. I'm going back to Arizona. I'm going to go back to work with the orphans on the reservation. I figured the guy would be back in another week asking us for money. It's been 10 years. We've never seen him again. But you know what? I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. About a week later, a 10-year-old girl with her mother and grandmother came into the store, and they were kind of interested. They were looking at the angels, and they finally went back to the back, and I showed them the art of Andy Lakey. And little girl, her name was Ashley, put her left hand on the painting, and she went like into a trance. When she opened her eyes, she said, I saw Aunt Kathy, and she said, happy birthday. I saw Aunt Kathy, she said, happy birthday. And tears started running down her face, and her mother said, her Aunt Kathy died 2 months ago. I said, whoa. I said, I saw something like this happen a couple weeks ago, and I didn't believe it. I said, would you mind if I sat down with your daughter and asked her what she saw? And the mother said, okay. So I sat down, I got a tablet out, and I'm trying to write down, and I said, Ashley, what did you see? She said, the first thing I saw was clouds. And then I saw beautiful golden gates. She said, and the gates opened up, and then I saw God. Well, I was writing this down, so I said, so what did God look like? She said, he was really beautiful. He had long brown hair, he had a beard, and he wore a white gown that glistened. She said, I said, God, I want to see my Aunt Kathy. I want to see my Aunt Kathy right now. And he said, Ashley, this is against the rules. This isn't the way we do things here. He said, but you're such a nice little girl. I'm such a nice man. We're going to break the rules today, and I'm going to let you see your Aunt Kathy just for a little while. She said the next thing she saw was her Aunt Kathy floating towards her on a cloud. And she came to her and said, Ashley, I just want to tell you that I love you. I'm always going to love you. Don't worry about me. I'm happy where I am. You've got to go on with your life. She said, I want to wish you a happy birthday because I always loved your birthdays. But there's one thing I want you always to remember. She said, never, ever, ever give up your dreams. And then she said her aunt floated away. And the gates closed and she came back. Now, I was pretty blown away because, like I said, I'd seen this Native American do this. I didn't believe it. And I'd seen this little 10-year-old girl run through the same thing. After this, we saw hundreds of people have similar experiences in our store. And it happened again and again and again. I finally decided that I was going to write a book about it. We compiled lots of stories. And in the process of this, a friend of ours by the name of George brought me Reunions by Dr. Raymond Moody, who wrote Life After Life, who coined the term near-death experience, and also coined the term Psychomanteum. Now, I had the book pretty much put together. I was going to get hold of Dr. Moody, but I really didn't know how to get hold of him. So I contacted a couple of friends of mine that worked in hospices, and I got 2 phone numbers, 2 email addresses, 2 fax numbers, 2 P.O. boxes. I said, wow, what can I do? There's too many addresses. But I was running out of time, so I got this brilliant idea, this totally brilliant idea. I'm going to contact him at every single address at the same time. So I overnight express packages to his P.O. boxes. I faxed him information. I sent him letters. I did everything. I did it all. In one day, I sent it all to him. And the next day, there was a message on my answering machine from his wife, Cheryl. It said, why are you harassing us? We don't know you. I started telling Cheryl the stories that had happened in her store. And the first one I told her, she said, yeah. The second one, she said, The third one, she said, you know what, I think Raymond does have to talk to you. The next day, I got a call from Dr. Raymond Moody. He said, Keith, this is Raymond Moody. I said, Raymond, Dr. Raymond Moody. No, gee, it's Raymond, Raymond, just call me Raymond. I said, okay. He said, I read your book, it's blown me away. He said, you realize they tried to commit me when I wrote this book? I said, no. He said, you helped prove my theories. You found the same things I did when I was doing Psychomanteum research and making people wait for things and go through all these processes. You did it by accident, and it still happened. He said, you helped prove my theories. He said, my wife and I had an experience with Andy Lakey's art. I said, so what happened? He said, it was really weird. Okay. He said, I had my painting. Andy gave me the painting right after I wrote a blurb for his first book, Andy Lakey, Art, Angels, and Miracles. And we loved the painting so much we put it in a place of honor in our house. Now, we had a picture window in the living room on one side, and I put the picture behind it, in the room where it faced the window. He said one night I was just sitting there enjoying the painting, and I turned around and I started looking at the reflection of the painting in the window. And I saw the weirdest thing. For some reason, I saw the face of George Washington come out of that painting. He said, is that weird? I said, that's pretty weird. He said, I thought it was. I thought, oh my God, I'm freaking. I'm just getting goofy writing all this stuff and doing all this stuff. So he got his wife Cheryl, who's really down-to-earth person. She was a news commentator and everything else. Cheryl was real down-to-earth. I don't know if anybody's ever met Cheryl Moody. Anybody met Cheryl Moody? Anyway, but real down-to-earth lady. He said, Cheryl, come here, take a look at the reflection of that painting in the window. See if you see anything. She said, okay, Raymond. She sat there for a while, and after a while, Raymond heard, he went in another room, and she started screaming, Raymond, Raymond, come here right now. There's something really weird happening. And he came in and said, well, what happened? She said, you're not going to believe what I just saw coming out of the painting. He said, what did you see? She said, I saw the face of George Washington.
Yeah.
And we've been close to the movies ever since. And they invited us eventually to symposiums when they were at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, guest lecture in his classes. And he actually wrote the foreword to my second book, which I don't have for sale here because it's only in Japanese. No words to heaven. But that's yet another story. Now, how did... please. Do you have any more poems to read? Oh, she does. Okay.
I have 3 more poems for you, and I'm really happy to be here and reading to you. This is called What Am I Thankful For? I am thankful for my lessons of forgiveness. These have healed my heart. I'm thankful for my lessons of compassion. These have blessed my soul. I am thankful for my lessons of tolerance. These have taught me love and helped me find peace. I am thankful for my lessons of wisdom. These have taught me to love myself and others. I am thankful for the members of my soul group. They have taught me to achieve my karmic potential through many lifetimes. This one is called Tolerance, and this is really because I grew up a Roman Catholic, and in Nicaragua, which is 99.9% Roman Catholic, so I was never exposed to any other religions, and until I came to the United States, and I realized here when I started talking to everyone, and all my friends were Japanese when I was learning English, and they were Buddhist, and then we tried, the school that I went to, they will take us to all these, teach us about different religions, and I was just so happy to know that we were all one. Mm-hmm. So this is tolerance. There is a conflict between my cultural beliefs and my heart. My culture tells me to believe in one religion. My heart tells me we all one. My culture tells me that my race is better than others. My heart tells me we all are one. My culture tells me war, hate, and discrimination are acceptable. My heart tells me tolerance is the only answer to conquer my fears. I pray that my fears, ignorance, and arrogance will be replaced by love and tolerance. This one is called humility. And humility is the greatest virtue of all the virtues. Humility is the knowledge that I'm not the beautiful seashore, but I'm a grain of sand that makes up the beautiful seashore. Humility is the feeling that I am not a vast ocean, but I'm a drop of water that makes up the vast ocean. Humility is the understanding that I am not the whole picture, but I'm a piece of a magnificent puzzle that makes up the whole picture. Humility is the realization that I'm not God, but I'm a spark of light that God is made of. Humility is the revelation that I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn all I can from others with love and understanding.
She's great, isn't she? I'm going to tell you a story that has to do with my next book, Quest for Charm, The Secret of the Butterfly Lovers, which is coming out next year. Yay. And this is how it starts. It is a story that has to do with Andy Lakey art, Psychomanteums, and some spirit guides. The story starts in 2001. What happened was I bought this book on tape. I thought it was a book by John Edward, the psychic who talks to dead people. There's a book called Understanding Your Angels and Meeting Your God. That sounds like a book. I got it through a tape of the Month Club. I got it on tape. We were going to listen to it when we were driving to a gift show in Los Angeles from our store. So I put the tape into my tape player, back then I had one, and in my car. And the first thing it says is, don't listen to this tape in your car. It is a guided meditation. I got ripped off. I wanted a book. I didn't want a guided meditation. I wanted a book. I wanted to listen to this book on the way, and I can't listen to it, but I finally just pulled it out and put it in the back seat of the car. And there it said, for the next month. Now, one day we had a day off. We take Tuesdays off. Only Tuesdays. And I said, we don't have anything going today. And I paid $20 for that guided meditation by John Edward. I said, how about if we do the guided meditation before we do anything else, so I get my money's worth out of this tape. So we turned up the lights in the house, we unhooked the telephones, we did everything so we could do this meditation just right. And we got our tape player and put the tape into the tape player. And he started talking about chakras. I didn't want to hear about chakras. Come on, move on. And then he told me I was going to meet my spirit animal. I said, all right, spirit animals, here we go. I don't believe in spirit animals, but I'm going to do the spirit animal thing with him anyway. And I saw my dog, Shona, who died a couple of years before, and she guided me around. For a while I was glad to see Shona look pretty good, and a dead dog, and she took me around, and she looked good. I was happy for Shona. And she took me to this cabin. Hello? She took me to this cabin where I was supposed to meet my spirit guide, something I didn't believe in. And I knocked at the door. John Edwards said, knock at the door. Okay, I'm going to knock at the door. And the door kind of slowly opens. And who's standing there? This tall, thin Asian guy. He looks like Fu Manchu. He's got a little goatee thing. He's got a long mustache that goes down. He's got a ponytail. He's wearing like a kimono. He puts his hands together and he bows to me. And I thought, oh God, I've been eating too much Chinese food and I've seen Fu Manchu. Everybody's got a cool spirit guide, and John Edward has like a Native American, and Sylvia Brown has a cool spirit guide. I have like Fu Manchu as my spirit guide. I can't believe it. And I'd say, okay, so John Edwards was supposed to ask him his name. I said, okay, so what's your name? He says, Chong. I said, great. Chong King is my spirit guide. This is really terrible. And then I'm supposed to ask him what my mission is. And he gets a copy of my book, Andy Lakey's Psychomanteum, which I only have in Japanese up there. And he shows it to me, and I said, I'm on an ego trip, I've even seen my own book. Oh, John Edward talks pretty quickly, and before long I was back out of the meditation, and I asked Francesca what she saw. She said nothing, and I made a horrendous mistake. I made a giant mistake. I told her what I saw. And the next thing I thought is that everyone we met in the store, she said, Keith, that's a spirit guide, his name is John. I said, oh, tell him about that. He told him that his mission was his book. I don't think I got his name. About a week later, a ghost hunter gives the haunted Ventura tours, and has actually been on Haunted History, and has been on Bert Griffin once a long time ago when Bert Griffin was on. Came to our store, and he was all excited. He said, Adelphia Cable, that's our kind of this big cable can go on right out in California, has just hired me to do a series on cable called Ghost Hunters. He said, and I want you guys to be on the show with me. I said, that'd be cool. He said, but you're not going to do a ghost show, you're going to do an angel show. I said, that'd be really good. In fact, it's over. Anyway, but we're not going to watch it. Anyway, so we did the show, but we were going to do the show, but there's just one condition of doing the show. He said, you've got to bring somebody that has had an angel experience in your store to do the show. So Francesca and I debated who we're going to bring, but I felt we should bring a lady by the name of Catherine Rosengren. Now, Catherine is a registered nurse. She has 2 degrees in psychology. She was the director of a local hospice, and her husband is a medical doctor in town. I thought that's pretty credible. So we did the show, and she was really great on the show. And after the show, we took her out for dinner, and I said, Catherine, you're so great on the show. I can't believe all the things that happened to you. It's really cool. She said, I never had anything happen to me until I met my spirit guide. And Francesca said, Keith has a spirit guide too. I keep her on the table and tell her about this. Oh, so that's nice, Caleb. You have a spirit guide. Is he like a Native American or something? She says, no, he's really unusual. I said, what's he look like? He said, he looks kind of Chinese or something.
Oh, here you go.
He wears this little goatee, and he has a mustache, and a ponytail, he wears a funny hat, he wears a kimono. I said, what's your spirit guide's name? She says, well, I couldn't communicate with him at first, but I went to a psychic named Patrick. He told me his name was Chong. I said, well, we found we had other things in common too. But I was pretty blown away by this, but I still didn't really believe it. I thought it was a cute story. About a year went by, or was it 2 years? 2 years went by, and I would tell people this cute story about Catherine and Sean and all this stuff. They'd think it's a cute story. But we decided to buy some new books, and one of the books we got was Talking to Heaven by James Van Praagh.
Right.
And I met James Van Praagh at a party that I went to for Andy Lakey once, and we'd seen him on TV. I wasn't that impressed. Anyway, Francesca got the book, and she could not stop reading it. She just couldn't put it down. And finally she came in. I was working on the computer, doing some internet stuff, and she came in, she's crying, and she says, you've got to read this. And there it was in James Van Praagh's book. He talks about his spirit guide. His name is Chong. And then they go through the description. He's a mustache here. He's wearing the funny hat. He's wearing the ponytail. The whole thing. I said, well, that is strange. So we decided we would go on the James Van Praagh show, Beyond, and see if we could figure out what the message was. And we did. The first time we went there, actually our son's girlfriend's mother got a reading on the show. And part of the reading had to do with Andy Lakey paintings in her upstairs bedroom. How do you do that? He also talked about what her best friend's name was, everything. I was impressed. We went the second time, still didn't get a message. Still didn't get any message at all. 2001 was a bad year for our store with 911, and our sales started going down. 2002 was even worse in the midst of all this stuff going on. And we buy our stock from a lot of the companies, especially the ones in Chicago. We buy them 6 months in advance, and usually it works out okay. But this year it didn't work out. We couldn't even pay for our Christmas stock in 2002 because of the threats to invade Iraq. And 2003 was even worse. We were going down the tubes. The whole store was going under. No one was buying art. I even closed one of my websites on art, which is still gone. And we didn't know what we were going to do. We found that we were in debt with the state of California. We couldn't pay our rent, and we couldn't pay off our stock. Into the store walked this lady named Janet, who worked for a local television station. She says, guys, the James Bond Prague show is on at 7 o'clock in Ventura. It's about the only place in the world where it aired at a decent time. The show Beyond. She says, you guys should advertise on it. I said, we can't advertise on it. We don't have any money. We can't even pay our bills. We can't pay the rent. We can't pay anything. She said, no, this is a good time. I said, we can't do it. I said, but I do have a connection with James Bond Prague. Let me tell you the story. And I told her the story that I just told you. And she thought I was insane. And left. The next day, though, she came back. She said, Keith, yesterday you told me the most bizarre story. And I went to see my friend Debbie. And she was talking about something. She said, I've got to talk to my spirit guide before I do that. And she said, oh, that's interesting. I talked to a guy in downtown Ventura. I was talking about spirit guides today. She said, Debbie, what kind of spirit guide do you have? And Debbie said, he's really unusual. He's like Chinese or something. He's got this goatee and the long mustache and the ponytail, and wears a kimono and a funny hat. She says, what's your spirit guide's name? And she said, oh, his name is Chong. She said, you've got to meet this guy in Ventura. You've got to meet Keith Richardson, because he has the same spirit guide as you. There's something going on here. So the next day she brought Debbie to the store. Turned out Debbie was a licensed hypnotherapist who did angel classes. I thought, there's no coincidences. You've been brought to me for a reason. All this stuff going on. You have the same spirit guide, the whole thing. I said, maybe if we give these classes, we can get an upturn in our sales in the store, and we can maybe save this store. But it was pretty late to do that. I had like 2 weeks to come up with $5,000, and I had $134 in my account. We were not selling much in the store at all. So set up the class, got the people into it, and I attended the class too. I figured I'm going to do this class too. So the first night, we did this guided meditation, and she decides we're going to meet our spirit guides, the whole group, in our meditation. And of course, only for the second time ever, I see Chong. And he gives me what I feel is the cruelest message I've ever seen. He shows me this bright, white light star with all these rays of light going into infinity. And he says, you know what this is? And I said, no. He said, this is abundance. I said, considering what's happening to me, it must be like abundance of cats or something. He said, no. He pulls out dollar bills. He said, no, this is a karmic lesson you're going to receive. I said, cool. I said, let me explain something to you, Chung. This is pretty cruel. Because, one, the war in Iraq has started tonight. Said they've closed our bases. They've cut off all the money from our local bases, and our city runs on military bases. They've cut the money out of the bases, which takes the money from all the subcontractors, which means that everyone around town has lost their job. They said they've moved a lot of our people that are on the bases to Kuwait to fight this war. And their families aren't buying anything anyway. I said, where's this money going to come from? He said, well, just have faith. 2 days later, I get a phone call from LAX. Man's voice on the phone. He says, I'm calling from Los Angeles International Airport. Can you tell me how to get to your store in Ventura from LAX? And I said, sure. I know how to get there. So I told him how to get to our store. And about an hour and a half later, he and a young woman arrived. They're like in the maybe late 20s, early 30s. And they're dressed really kind of grungy, kind of grungy Levi look. And I said, and the man says, thanks for the directions, they're really good. I said, where did you come in from? He said, Bermuda, island of Bermuda. I said, oh, that's nice. Are you guys here on vacation? And he said, no. are you here on business? He said, no. I said, what are you here for? He said, we've come to Ventura to be at your store and to see the art you have in your store. I said, how do you know about the art in my store? He said, we really didn't know about the art. We didn't know anything about Andy Lakey. But we were doing a guided meditation last week, and he saw the angel. We saw one of these angels in the meditation, and we looked on the internet, and we found it on your website. We booked a trip. We booked tickets to Los Angeles International Airport because we saw that Ventura was near LA. We rented a car, and we come to your store to get a painting. Now, again, I didn't think these people had much money. So I'm showing him little paintings and saying, you know, like this painting is $325, this one's $350, and the guy looks behind me. There's a big painting on the wall. And he says, how much is that one? I said, oh, that one's $5,000. Usually when you say that, people go, He didn't though. He pulls out his wallet, pulls out an American Express card. He says, do you take American Express? Even if I didn't, I'd say yes. He said, can you ship this painting to Bermuda? I'd never shipped one there before, but I said, of course I can. I ship them all the time. He gave me the card, went through. We got the $5,000. We paid off our initial debt. We paid off our state sales tax and our rent. But we were still in trouble because our business was still not coming up. A week went by. Okay, my story's almost over. A week went by, and we were open kind of late on a Sunday night, and out of the blue, there a car parked right across the street from us, and out of the store walked a Japanese couple wearing nice navy blue blazers, and they walked into the store, and the man came up to me and said, we were at a conference in Santa Barbara, and we got off the freeway by mistake. You were the only store open. Can you tell us how to get back on the freeway? And I know how to get back on the freeway, so I told him. But I said, you know, there are no coincidences. I think you've been diverted to my store for a reason. And I took him back through the store. I showed him the angels. I took him back into the gallery, and I showed him the art. And I said, you know what? I wrote a book about this art. And the man says, oh, we like books. He said, if we buy your book, will you sign it for us? I thought they'd be polite. I said, sure. So I signed the book, they bought the book, and they left. I figured they just did that to be polite because I gave them good directions to get back on the freeway. The next week, I got a call from a lady by the name of Non Stuco. She says, I'm calling about your book, Andy Lakey's Psychomanteum. I said, would you like to buy a copy? She said, no. She said, last week, a Japanese couple came to your store. They were lost. You told them how to get back on the freeway. I said, do you remember them? I said, yes. She said, do you know who they were? I said, no. She said, they were the top translators of spiritual books in the country of Japan. They read your book and they were very impressed. They want me to start translating it. Within 90 days of the message I got from Sean, which by the way, he told me I'd find something in 90 days, we had the book published in Japanese. This one. It became a best-selling book in the country of Japan.
Oh,
The
gosh.
next year we did the sequel. I don't have it in English because I cut my contract with Sensei publishing in Tokyo. And the next year they did the picture book. Pictures with stories by Keith Richardson. We ended up doing going to Japan, doing book sales, and as soon as that book came out in Japanese, I started getting orders over the internet. I just started getting orders over the telephone. We got tens of thousands of dollars worth of orders. And within a month after it came out, we were contacted by Good Morning America to do a TV show. And within 2 months after that, we were contacted by Fox to do another TV show. And abundance started coming to us, just like Chong had told us. And that is my story so far. Thank you for coming. Okay, one more video.
Also, these videos are on the DVD that was for sale. I hope it's still out there for $10 for the whole series.
So give me 3 more minutes. Yeah. 3 minutes. Miracles. Miracles in the making.
believe in miracles because a miracle happened in my own life. I was freebasing cocaine, and I crawled into the shower, and I just put the water on, and I thought I was going to go down. And so I started to pray, and I prayed to God for the first time since I was a child. All I remember is a prayer from my childhood, God is good, God is great. Almost instantly, when I was finished with a prayer, right down where my feet were, where the water was, I felt 7 angels twirling around me.
7 angels that changed Andy Lakey's life forever. They came to him on New Year's Eve 1986 with a message. He was told to quit his job as a used car salesman and become an artist.
Since that day, magic has occurred in my life.
Andy, with no experience, started sketching his angels. He kept the original drawings to guide him on what some might call a mission from God. Day and night, 1,600 legal pads. It wasn't until 3 years later that he received his second vision.
And they told me I had to paint 2,000 angel paintings by the year 2000. They would give me the knowledge to paint, and they'll take care of everything.
What Andy wasn't expecting was the power of the paintings. He sold his angels not far from the city of Angels in Ventura, California. Then suddenly, store owners noticed one miracle after another. Too many to count.
Every single day things happen here. And someone comes in here with arthritis and it stops hurting. Someone comes in with stomach pains, they stop hurting.
Random people from all over the world claiming Andy's angels healed them. People swearing they felt an energy, a warmth, emanating from the artwork. But not just his paintings. Some say the healing comes from Andy's jewelry too.
I felt like I could just breathe easier.
Sarah Casey had spent 6 years in desperate need of a kidney transplant when her mother bought her this necklace. Months later, Sarah's wait was suddenly over, and she attributes it all to Andy's art. How do you feel about angels?
I've always believed in angels. He made me believe in them even more.
Dee Laporte didn't believe until she touched one of Andy's paintings. Then she felt the warmth, the energy. And that night, in her sleep, Dee had a vision. Her ovarian cancer would finally be gone.
I did go back to the doctor, and they did more tests, and they were baffled because from a tumor it went down to a little pallet or cyst.
I'll be honest with you, I consider myself a pretty open-minded person when it comes to all things spiritual and supernatural. And I was curious to see whether I would have any type of reaction or experience anything after being in the presence of these paintings. For the most part, I didn't. Until I let my hand hover over this small angel in this painting, I felt a warmth. I still feel it. And it feels like it's coming from the painting. Now, is this merely the power of suggestion? Or is this truly the power of the angels' work?
I'm very uncomfortable with the whole healing aspect of my art. Like I've said in every interview, to me it's paint and wood.
Andy, in fact, may be the greatest skeptic of all. To him, it's less a miracle and more a state of mind. Do you believe your paintings have healing powers?
I believe what it is my art is a catalyst for people to tune into their own spirituality, to their own power.
To the power of positive thinking. According to psychologist Alan Ribler, Andy's artwork subconsciously gives people a reason to believe, to have hope.
My own approach is that belief systems are very powerful.
Yet Andy believes in the angels, and he doesn't feel the heat from his own paintings. He can't even be cured of allergies so bad he has to wear a gas mask when he paints.
But I don't understand it. I don't feel it.
But others all around Andy continue to feel it. His clientele now stands at over 12,000 art collectors, including a president, the Pope, and multiple Hollywood superstars.
Oh, there's a beautiful energy. Definitely, you can feel it.
Remember the painting I touched in Andy's gallery? I brought it to Gloria Stefan. She not only owns one of Andy's paintings, she also wrote a passage in his book.
Because art is totally, what you feel from it and what you get, and what you might get from something is totally different than what I might get.
For many believers, what they get can only be described